What?
You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little, expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house and your job parking lot before you clocking. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn you back and tell you sorry, try again. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Okay.
You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
What Niecy Pooh say?
You said what?
I said, what Niecy Pooh say?
You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table. Hey, that's my niece.
Yes.
Yes, welcome back everybody to the hood table one more again. Everybody, please come on in, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, The Hood Table, DA Hood Table, and also follow us on our website at thehoodtable.com. Hey, Carmel Diva.
Hey, boo.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I am doing awesome. Ready for this interview. I was talking to our guest a little bit before the show, and I'm excited to talk about some of the things that he has in store for the community. So with that being said, please introduce yourself, our guest for the evening.
Yes. My name is Stephen Abraham. Just want to introduce, thank you for allowing me to come onto your platform. Carmel Diva, Tanya, thank you for allowing me to come on to the hood table.
You are welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, you are so very welcome. Glad to have you. Now, you are, as the title of the show says, you are running for District 2 City Council.
Yes, I am.
It is the 2021 election. So that's like every 3 years, right? The council, or is it every 5?
2.
2?
Yeah.
Is it every 2?
No, so actually it's every 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah, the city council is an office that runs in conjunction with the mayor's election.
Okay,
And
okay.
so usually the city council and the mayors are, elected around the same time.
Okay. All right. I was wondering about that because when we voted this last November, I was looking for certain people who was running for city council. And I was like, why aren't they on there? Then Precious McKesson said, that's next year. So, okay. I'm like,
yeah.
I am not no political guru. I say that all the time. Carmel Diva, she knows a lot more than me. But yeah, I'm not politicalness is not my but anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself as a candidate of District 2 in Omaha. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. So just to, kind of go forward in regards to my background, I was a census field manager for Dodge, Washington, Burt, and Douglas County. So I controlled all the statistical data gathering for those 4 counties. And I had about 325 individuals under me.
Wow.
We wanted to make sure that we got an accurate count so that much needed funding gets to the neighborhoods or communities that need it. And I can happily say that North Omaha showed that they were willing to be counted and they understood the importance. And I think North Omaha is going to benefit moving forward in the future.
That's what's up, Northo. Stand up.
Right.
Yes. We did it with the blue dot. As you know, recently, Precious McKesson, she is the elector, and she will be casting that vote. So we
Yes,
flip.
congratulations to Precious. I love me some her.
Yeah,
That's my girl.
yeah, she's a really good person. But I just wanted to give that shout out right there. But then the second is I worked at Charles Drew Health Center as a public housing community health worker, where I engaged with individuals on a one-on-one basis, trying to get them crucial healthcare services. That would also include vision and mental health, and reached out to a lot of people on that platform. I was the day housing manager at Sienna Francis House, where I helped thousands of people get important services that were homeless or transitioning out of homeless. Um, and before that, I worked at Hands of Heartland Services as I would say, a helper in regards to helping individuals with mentally and physically challenging disabilities. And I worked at Omaha Public Schools at Saratoga Elementary as a security guard slash facilitator.
Well,
Okay.
Saratoga, that's what my kids
So a lot of public service
went.
uh background. Now, when did you work at Charles Drew? Because when I graduated from college, and this was a little while ago, but
Hmm.
that was my first job out of college. Was I worked at Charles Drew down at the homeless at the Sienna Francis and the campus of Hope.
Okay.
So what years were you
So, yeah, what year I was there, what, 2017, 2018?
Oh no,
Uh,
baby, I was long gone.
yeah, no, and I know what you're saying because there was an important work that needed to be done down there at the homeless clinic.
Mhm.
And I commend you for the work that you've done because a lot of the individuals, the population that we serve, sometimes can be interesting. I would like to say.
Oh, I have. You know what? That was an education out of this world, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yes,
I
yes,
met so many wonderful people down there. I truly, truly did.
yeah,
And um, it opened my eyes and it really changed my perspective on how I see homeless people, how I see drug and alcohol addiction,
hmm,
and how I see mental health. It
yes,
that I can honestly say that opened my eyes to that, and I think that's something Tanya knows I'm big on that. I'm always bringing up, mental health and just health in general. I'm a former nurse, that's why. But
oh, okay, okay,
I think that's something, especially in our area, in our community, that we really, really need to focus on because
hmm,
what a lot of people don't understand or maybe not even know, a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of the homelessness and drugs that we see down in that area is because of mental illness, and a lot of them are self-medicating,
Yep.
hmm,
and they don't get that help that they desperately need, and it's a very underserved area.
yes.
And what I kind of want to know, what are your plans for, I know they're doing this north downtown stuff. I had never heard of
Mm,
that till they started trying to build this mess up, but
yes.
um what are your plans for, like, getting them more services, or helping out with that?
Well, first, I wanted to, kind of touch bases on the substance abuse issue. My
Mhm.
degrees are in behavioral science, behavioral and social science, and
Mhm.
also chemical dependency counseling.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I also grew up in Logan Fontenelle, and like I mentioned before, I lived at 1563 North 24th Street, right across the street from Valley High. I've seen a lot of the
Everybody
issues
know
that,
Valley
Yep.
High.
yeah, and that's right down the street from K. Well, I stay right on the corner where KP's. I could just go out my door and look to the right and see KP's right there, and then down the street there was Easy Drive.
Yep.
And these are familiar names you might know. My mom, she worked in the nursing field for 30 years at St. Joe's Hospital. Um,
Oh wow.
so she helped actually deliver some of my friends. She used to tell me about those things. But what I would do is I would work with a lot of those individuals as far as in the dual diagnosis format. Because they, like you said, they are self-medicating because they have an underlying condition,
Right.
and sometimes those underlying conditions can be missed. Um, and in most cases, it could cause their death.
Right.
Over drinking, becoming sepsis, and collapsing. There's a lot of variety of things that could happen. So
Mhm.
what I would do is I would work with our emergency teams, and the law enforcement, because they're usually the first individuals that are on the
Yep.
scene for mental health issues, and
Yep.
Mhm.
they don't feel that they have the necessary
Training and
capability
skills.
yeah, the trainings, capabilities to address those issues. So I would go for a behavioral health advocate to be with law enforcement, so
And we
that
need
when
that. We desperately need that. I even heard Gene Stocker say in a city council meeting that they were implementing different training for people who have mental issues when they get arrested or if the police call on them, or because we done seen several situations where it went horribly, horribly wrong, horribly bad when the
yes,
police is dealing with people with mental, illnesses.
yes,
So yeah,
and
we do
and
need that.
and no, I didn't mean to cut you off. And I just want to say this, that a lot of those individuals could be talked down. So
Yeah.
if you don't have a necessary, and I'm not saying that our law enforcement are not trained completely, but if you got to understand that they may be coming from a home that they didn't have a mother or father, they've been on their own for so long. I mean, I've seen people down at the Sienna Francis house as young as 15 years old,
Yep.
um, on their own, um, living, surviving. And I've reached out and tried to talk to those individuals, and they come off aggressive because it's a defense mechanism.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so what I try to do is, lower their defense shield just low enough to where we can see eye to eye and communicate effectively. And so I can build their trust and get them services. Substance is important when it comes to giving somebody something.
Yes.
You can say it, and you can say, "Oh, I'm going to do this for you." But if you don't do it, they start losing trust and faith, and then that shield goes up. So you got a loss, then you got an increase, and
Mm.
so as far as what I would do, I would work with the emergency team, the specialists, the firefighters, paramedics, also law enforcement, and in regards to, I kind of brought myself into this portion in regards to defunding the police. That is something that I think we need to look at very carefully in regards to we. Some people may say, "Hey, I want to defund the police." And when issues happen within our community, the first people that we call are the
Right.
police.
Right.
So, and in most cases, we'll talk about that. Their response time is not good enough, and they're saying on
Mhm.
one side that they don't have enough manpower to come in a timely manner. So, the funding is there, but I feel that it could be used in a better way to hire behavioral health advocates or work with community partners and have
Right.
them on call and connections. And so we can address some of these issues. I think that will alleviate a lot of the improper communication or what we perceive to be abuse of power in regards to certain situations.
And see,
And
my issue with I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, Carmel. You go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say my issue with the whole defund the police thing was just like you said, when anything goes wrong, the first thing we do is reach for a phone and call 911.
Hmm.
You want the police to be there, but then when they're there and they're trying to not necessarily control, but to contain an environment or something like that, then people get mad. it's like you can't have it both ways. Now, the one thing I will say, um, I will say demilitarize them,
Hmm.
because they have a lot of, I know a lot of them have military background, but they are, I mean, like, why,
They don't always
think
humanize us when they,
right,
you know,
right. And I say all the
they're
time,
not
Tanya,
compassionate. They're not compassionate enough. That's how I feel.
when it
Like,
Hmm.
comes to black and brown people, I always say that our kids are not kids to them. When they, after about age 10, they are a threat to them, and
Hmm.
that's how they see them. They need to see them just like they do white children. They're still children. And I think that approach is something that they need to look at too, because to me, white children are just as dangerous as black and brown children. And that's something that I think that they need to work on within the police department, as far as seeing people with pigmentation as a threat.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I look at it as sometimes when you go into different courses or classes, they talk about a person's culture. And so I think cultural competency plays a very key, intricate part in what we're talking about. Because if a lot of the police officers come in from different neighborhoods or communities and they come in to police our neighborhood, I feel that cultural competency training is something important. I believe that they should get that training from
Right.
individuals that live in the community. So these this goes into my next subject. We talked about how the lack of not or the unwillingness to work with law enforcement in some issues, and that's due to some trust issues and violations. I think one of the things I would really kind of push for is conflict resolution centers. Those
Yes.
are can be used in conjunction with law enforcement, and these individuals are services kind of come from neighborhood associations. When my mother was growing up, she would tell me stories about how the neighborhood association in Logan Fontenelle would work with the sack lunches that was given out by the Girls Club. I believe that was in the projects. I believe that was the Girls Club.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um, kind
Yep,
of towards the back of Kellum. You got your food stamps
Hmm.
from the back over
yep.
there.
Yep.
I don't want to give away my age, but we're all
Hey, I went there. Give away my age. I went there.
I know about it.
My
yeah.
grandma and my auntie stayed in Logan.
Yes, and what I mean is that a lot of people knew each other, and they worked as a unit. So when issues happened, they wanted to make sure it was addressed appropriately. So
Yeah,
I think in these conflict resolution centers, you got outreach workers.
yep.
Oh, at least okay.
Yeah, Lisa
Uh,
said that was the Girls Club. Yep.
hmm And so, you kind of deputize these individuals because that happened before, where these individuals work in conjunction with law enforcement that live in the community, and they are the first contact with a lot of these issues. And if they have the proper training and the mind state, of course, to address the issues when law enforcement comes, law enforcement also has to react to those individuals like law enforcement, like they're partners. So they're not coming in and saying, looking at that person like you're the trouble. They're coming in and saying, okay, what happened? What's going on, partner? And then we work in conjunction to address the issue. I,
And let me say that that's not, I'm sorry, I want to say that my statements, that doesn't mean every person in OPD, because I have met some great police officers
Same
mhm,
within
here.
OPD,
yeah,
black, white, Hispanic, whatever. Um, but you know how they say one bad apple spoils the bunch.
Mhm.
And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's what's kind of happening here is you got a couple of bad apples and they
And
starting to
like Chris
spoil.
Rock said, this is the wrong career to have some bad apples. The
Right,
wrong
yeah,
career.
right.
Yeah,
Now,
and
Yeah.
oh
you were talking about like neighborhood associations.
yeah,
How would you go about building those connections again and getting people engaged in becoming more community oriented and basically caring about their communities again?
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great question, Carmel. As the former commissioner for Omaha Housing Authority, I was one of the only commissioners to go and meet with neighborhood associations directly because I understood that they weren't getting the funding. Because I would question, I'm like, well, where's the neighborhood associations with all these issues? And thriving, working communities, they have a organized neighborhood association that lets the residents know what's going on in the community. So I wanted to go directly to the neighborhood associations. I didn't want to hear it from anyone else. I wanted to hear it directly from the people that live in the community. And so I think that with my relationship as far as addressing some of those issues as a former commissioner, and then them seeing me as a city councilman, and I'm gonna talk, I'm not, it's not, I don't want to use the word the boldness about me. It's just that I feel very confident in what I say and speak, and I feel very passionate about this district. So as a city councilman, I would come in and I would bring those neighborhood associations to the table, and I would talk to them about the conflict resolution center ideas, see if that fits into their model. Most definitely working to empower the community. So I think I could be an advocate on that side.
Well, I got a
Now,
question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, as far as what do you have any ideas or um, well, yeah, just basically ideas as far as organizations bringing something back into the city for our youth to be
Yeah.
involved in, as
Good
Hmm.
far
question.
as jobs or community centers or something like that,
Yes.
where they can get that structure, that leadership, that mentorship that a lot of them need, and the parents need that help too. A lot of especially a lot of the single parents.
Yeah, and a lot
Yeah.
of people been saying lately we wish we had the CETA program back. Not only giving them jobs in the summer, but actually training them, giving them life skills, preparing
Yeah,
them for their
CETA
future.
and like NYSP, like they used to have at Creighton.
Hmm.
I mean, I went to that every summer, and we had a ball.
Hmm.
And these are programs. Like I said, they gave us structure. They gave us something to do. It kept us off the streets, and it was it was involvement. It was community based, and that's something these kids don't have, and that's why idle time is the devil's time. And
Devil
that's why,
playground.
right, and that's why they are just congregating, hanging around, and coming up with stupid ish to do.
Yeah. No, I want to say this. Some of my mentors, Midge Minor, Joe Edmondson, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Carl Washington. I used to wrestle for
Mm-hmm.
the Exploradors. So I think I thank God that I grew up in the era that I grew up in because I was able to see home cooked meals where everybody was cooking things from scratch. I was able to see the competitiveness in sports that we will help the next person up. Say we hit them, they're like, "Oh man, you got hit hard," in the Killen field with the Bears, practice and so forth, and
Mm-hmm.
lift that individual back up. And we were friends. I think that had to do with a lot of those individuals caring for the community, and not to say that there's not organizations out there right now, which I would empower and strengthen because there is existing connections that just need to be strengthened
Yeah.
um, on that basis. And as being a AAU coach for the Trailblazers, for the Midwest Trailblazers, I worked
Mm-hmm.
with the youth for a very long time. Um, I would say we got to institute these community centers and empower them. And the city councilman has the power to do that. If a lot of people may not know what a city councilman does, I could kind of break it down. The state of Nebraska receives funding. It is issued and distributed via governor, mayor, Douglas County commissioners, and Omaha City Council. The Omaha City Councilman or person or woman, because it could be, it takes that money and recognizes issues within the district like health disparities, housing disparities, lack of financial literacy, conflict resolution, improper communication, and so forth, and they help allocate or direct funding to those organizations or grassroots organizations slash neighborhood associations to ensure that they address the disparities within the community. So I think one of my things with getting the funding to those organizations is, hey, let me see your blueprint on how you're going to address these issues. And are you going to have an educational component in there? Are you going to have something that's going to help single parent households? Are you going to have something in there that's going to get people to working? And like I said, not to say there's organizations that are not doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that with my knowledge and background, I would be able to focus those fundings in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did mention about parents and training them and teaching them. We had spoke a little bit earlier about home ownership
Mhm.
programs.
Yeah.
Um, how do you feel about those programs? And because I know the time that we are in right now, I know a lot of people are kind of scared to spend money.
Yeah.
Some are low on money, some are, don't know if they're going to have a stable job next year because of CB, 19. But
Yeah.
you had told me that you were involved into some home ownership programs. So I wanted to hear about that just in case there's people out there who's thinking about maybe next year or in the future trying to get assistance to purchase
Mhm.
their first home.
Yes. Like I mentioned before, I grew up in Logan Fontenelle Projects. My mom worked 30 years at St. Joe's Hospital. Every day I watched my mother come home from a hard day's worth of work. I used to massage her feet. And I'm just kind of telling you some things about,
Oh,
and now the reason why I'm saying these different things and I'm talking about home ownership is because my mom, she was the Douglas County Commissioner for Housing Authority.
and what was
Uh,
her name again?
her name was Ruth Martin,
Okay,
but then she married the Abraham name comes from my father.
okay,
And her mother was Ophelia Martin, and she was a Douglas County Housing Commissioner. And this was before Omaha Housing and Douglas County Housing split. The office and operations used to be at the Douglas County General, where the Douglas County Hospital is.
right.
The food stamp office used to be right there. The
Off
Goodwill
of
used to be in the
42nd?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
where a lot of those, the Department of Health and Human Service was right there, caseworkers and so
Yeah.
forth. So my mom, she just cared about trying to improve people's lives. So, she was one of the women to sue the federal government to reformulate Section 8, which started right here in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, and I think did she have it in the mind that it would create the housing choice voucher or fuel the Portability Act? I don't know. The women that were involved in that, I really respect and honor and cherish them because they did a very good job. Um, but when I came on board as an Omaha Housing Authority Commissioner,
Mhm.
I wanted to try to help empower home ownership because they had existing home ownership classes and courses already in existence. So one of the things that we did is look at improving our training of the residents, bringing back a form of home ec, things that we take for granted every day, the use of a microwave,
Hmm.
the use of just cleaning up your unit, um, getting individuals ready to as a renter and then in preparation to be in home ownership, because the idea of public housing or if you want to say Section 8 is to get individuals to become self-sufficient. It's
Mhm.
not for, we grew up in an era where a lot of our individuals would and our family friends were multi-generational, living in public housing for a
You
very
right,
long
right.
periods of
The
time.
grandma, the mom, the child, the great
Yeah,
grand. Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah,
I know some. Yeah,
yeah. So what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that there's, some processes that we
Right. Mhm.
improved on that were very straightforward and simple changes. And then I also, as a commissioner for Omaha Housing Authority, we changed the criteria for who gets housing, allowing nonviolent felony offenders, which are usually drug charges. Majority of the time, it's marijuana charges.
right.
They get disqualified for housing. So, and they may get a felony and they may be disbarred. So we changed the criteria from 6 years after you are released from incarceration to 2 years after you've been convicted. That was a
Oh,
big, uh,
That was really good because yeah, a lot of people did have to seem like they had to wait forever to get back on the program. And
mhm.
I feel like if it's I mean, some people look at Mary J. Wanna, as it's from the earth. Oh, it ain't that bad. But I get it. It's a drug. I get it. But in situations like that, I'm like, well, dang, it's not crack, it's not meth. It's like, give them another chance.
Mhm.
So I
right.
like how they reduced that time down to 2 years. That's a lot better. And a lot of people be out there struggling, not not being
Yeah,
able to afford their rent. And some people make mistakes, they make mistakes. We all do, but yeah, that 2 year thing, I know that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I just want to add this in that anybody that has a housing choice voucher, they can use that to buy themselves a home. And when you
Okay.
use when you use the housing choice voucher, we work with banks, local banks here. And I say we, I'm talking in the present, but I'm a former commissioner for Omaha Housing Authority. But we worked with local banks to get individuals the funding for the housing choice voucher because individuals that go through that program, they get a buildup of money, or if you want to call a stipend, and
Mhm.
during the 5 years that they committed after they signed a self-sufficiency contract. Once the 5 years is up, they get that buildup of money. They can use it for a down payment. They can use it as any way they want to. But the beautiful part about it is being able to use the housing choice voucher towards your mortgage. It works the
yeah,
same way as the Section 8, where
Yeah.
somebody's staying in scatter site housing or so forth, and the voucher pays the difference of the income that doesn't meet up into the rent portion. And
Yeah, I have a friend who stayed in housing, and they had like I think it was a 5 or 6 year thing, and
mhm.
so much of their rent went into this mortgage to either help pay closing costs or help pay portion of their mortgage. But actually, the house that they were actually renting, they actually got to buy that house. So
Yes, yes,
yeah, that's a
and
really nice plan.
yeah, and you could use that voucher for up to 25 years. I
Hmm.
mean, so
wow.
a lot of individuals don't know this, and you know, my mom, even though she was on the Douglas County commissioning side for Housing Authority, she made it possible for a lot of our people to move out. You had a choice. You could stay in North Omaha or move out west. You could use that housing choice voucher to move west to 72nd. That's your own personal choice, but so I think that was a good turning point as well.
Now, the other day when we spoke to a different candidate,
Hmm.
um, we asked him, and I kind of want to ask you too.
Yes.
What about revitalizing the economic disparity that we have, especially I say from Cumming Street to, let's say, Ames,
Yes.
and from 30th Street to 16th? Because, like I told, we were speaking there. I know when I lived down there, um, we had one grocery store, which was Chubb's, and was extremely expensive. but they could
Hmm.
choose to be that way because they were the only one in that area, and
Yeah.
they knew people needed them, so they could charge whatever they wanted. But there, other than Chubb's, there's no grocery stores in that area. There's
Hmm.
no gas stations in that area to service that area. And there's really not a lot of jobs down there.
Hmm.
Um, what what is your plan for that, or what would you
Yeah.
bring to the city council to?
Hmm.
And you know
Well.
what? I was gonna ask you some similar questions. So if I can throw mine in there as part of hers,
Mhm.
I was gonna ask you as far as what she was talking about the neighborhoods, commercial spaces, homes and stuff. Like, do you think it's more important for us as far as like building new homes and new commercial spaces, or rehabbing, expanding, or better utilizing our existing homes and storefronts? So that's kind of like I was trying to go where she was going to, but
Yeah, well, that falls hand in hand because if you don't have a good job to take care of your household or pay bills or maintain it, then you're going to see homes becoming decapitated and so forth. But North Omaha used to be the original financial district for the whole city of Omaha at one point. And our ancestors that used to live in North Omaha did well. They were doing good. They had businesses. They had the trade skills, the very basic knowledge to make money to provide for themselves and their families. I think what happened is after the 1960 riots and so forth, I don't know exactly the year that those riots and different things took place. There was no rebuilding on 24th and 16th, where a lot of the issues happened. And it was left to basically die, if you want to say. So,
Yeah,
what I would say and what I would do as a city councilman, understanding being knowledgeable about community block grants,
mhm,
project-based vouchers, SORs, and so forth to build back up the community is that I would go to companies that are invested in the technology side, try to make this more of a new Silicon Valley slash trade training to build up the properties around the community. Because once you put a valuable business that is centered around maybe technology, coding. There's a lot of different things, something similar to like what West Telemarketing. A lot of people think they're just a telemarketing company, but actually they handle credit card processing. They sent out different things. They dealt in the codings. Once you put a valuable business down there like that, it builds up the community. It
mhm,
strengthens the neighborhood association. And if you really look at successful communities, let's go West Omaha, they always have some sort of successful business around their neighborhood association and their community because they know that that builds up the community block grants, the land that's up in the money that's in the land already.
mhm.
That it makes your homes more valuable because you may qualify for different things to take care of your home. It's almost just like the lead mitigation that was going on around North Omaha, where they got grants for homes to mitigate the lead out of their property, whether it be in the ground or in the
I
house.
remember that. I remember that. I was like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
everybody got all this stuff going on in everybody's yards?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that I know my ex in laws, they had that done in their because they lived in an older home down there. So
mhm.
yeah, I remember that.
So, but
Oh,
to answer it a little bit, more clear, I would try to get businesses over, where the junkyards is, going down towards Carter's Lake.
mm,
That
Hmm.
remember there was a bridge there a long time
yeah.
ago, but um, get those junkyards cleared up and cleaned up. Put some kind of tech business of some sort. Work with organizations, maybe here locally. There's individuals that only thing they need is the correct funding to create something like that, and that would even be better to have a local business that's focused on technology and building, to be down in that area, and then um, they dedicate so much money of helping the surrounding communities. That will be all in the contractual agreement that we put in place.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't think we have to put like the junk men out of business. There, to me, there are a lot of lots that could be commercial. There are a lot of, like Tanya was saying, empty storefronts and stuff like that, where they could put those businesses in. And also, I just
Hmm.
kind of think that,
Hmm.
we have a lot of underused um,
Oh man,
minority builders
yeah.
where we could use them to help. That's putting jobs in a lot of these people who live in North Omaha's hands where they can build up. And then, it brings prosperity also to the neighborhood where they could do some
Yeah.
of the hiring too.
Well,
Hmm.
So I just,
Yeah.
I wish we had more resources allocated for people who are trying to start up businesses. Like we have so many
hmm
people in North Omaha who are great cooks, awesome bakers. I mean, talented chefs, and it's so hard to get out there. Like to see these restaurants be owned, just back to back to back by different people. Um, Specifically like the location on 72nd Street, the location on 24th Street. I think it's called
Hmm.
Emery's now. But to see some of
Oh.
these locations just hand over hand, they just get transferred hand over hand because a lot of people can't afford the high mortgages, or for some reason, a lot of people they're not getting a lot of traffic in certain areas because of lack of
hmm
advertisement as well. Like one thing we talk about, people have heard me say it before. The OGs of the hood table, they know that the main reason the hood table got started was for advertisement purposes because I got tired of not
Mm.
hearing about certain
Okay.
things going on in the community. So I would tell people, send me your flyers, send me your flyers. I just want to post everything that's going on, in North Omaha. So I wish there was like, how can people who are interested in starting up their own restaurants, because there's so many buildings in North Omaha that could be used that are not being used. And it's like nothing's being done with them. But some people I
Yeah.
feel just need just a start, and they credit might not be as good, or
Hmm.
like I think we need programs to get people physically able, mentally able, and financially able to take their businesses from home to a storefront and keep
Yeah.
it
right.
here in North Omaha. So how do you feel about that, or your thoughts on that?
Well, I mentioned before about my works with the Census Bureau, and
Mm,
there was a lot of data that showed that about 70% of the people that live in District 2 work outside of District 2.
mm,
So
hmm
you have a great exodus every morning of individuals leaving our district to work to make ends meet in another, working in another district to make ends meet, come back here and don't really spend a lot of money in this district. So
right.
my first thing that I would like to do is try to capture that money leaving the district by promoting local businesses and small businesses. And some of the business might need a facade grant or a beautification grant. So I would be more welcoming to those businesses that understand that they are valuable and asset to the community. So we would try to beautify the veneer of their buildings. Also try to get them, equipment that they could do their job appropriately. And so that would be what I would do. I would go to those individuals and talk with them. Each city council person has about a team of 6 or 7 people
Mm,
that goes out into the community, kind of works hand in hand in conjunction. And so I would, instruct my team to go out and make these things accessible to these businesses.
okay.
um,
Cool.
and
Cool.
and I also wanted to touch bases on the home part because home ownership is important. in the District 2, we see the most nonprofits out of all districts right here in District 2. We also see the highest unemployment rate, and we also see the highest rate of individuals renting.
Mhm.
So in
Mm-hmm.
other districts, you have a reasonable balance of those three things that I mentioned. So just kind of addressing those issues, not one by one, but all together, because working with Metro Community College to get trade skills implemented into the community. And that's why I mentioned community outreach workers earlier, because they have a certification now at Metro Community College, and them jobs could get you about 35 to $45,000 a year. Um, Maybe that would be motivation for individuals that were that are looking for jobs to stay here in the district. um, they could take those jobs, which would allow them to qualify, with the courses that come with that, and as far as credit repair, to get the loans, to address the issues of their homes, um, be knowledgeable about the community block grants and neighborhood grants that neighborhood associations could get from the city to use to help rebuild their neighborhoods or communities. So,
Yeah, because I think we have a lot. Like, um, there's programs for people to buy homes, but as far as the programs for people to start their own businesses, there's usually just like grants out there, something like that. But I think if
mhm,
people had more knowledge, if they had more resources, it wouldn't be so many failing businesses. Like sometimes people go
Mm-hmm.
in and they got the grant, they got the, they think they about to do this, they about to run this business, and then like a year later, something for some reason makes them
mhm.
close their business, and then it
See,
gets another person.
I think a lot
Go
of
ahead.
that has to do with people wanting, I mean, they have that desire to start a business and they have a great idea, but they don't necessarily have the business training part of it,
Right. That's what I'm getting
the,
at. Like
the
classes
knowledge
for
of,
people, stuff like that to help them keep their business and, not
right,
default on their mortgages or their loans or, things like that. But it's just it's so many people here in our city. I know we can have so many more businesses here, like in North Omaha, the way it used to be. And I guess I'm just, like,
SOS, save
you
ourselves.
know,
Mhm.
it's like okay, as
Yeah.
far as like restaurants, we got like a couple barbecue joints, a couple chicken joints, a couple catfish joints. It's like, but then when you out west, it's like a gazillion restaurants, a gazillion different pastry companies, a gazillion different
Which,
clothing stores. And it's so much talent here, but I think people just we need more organizations to help people get a jump start so that we can keep the money right here in the city.
right.
Yeah.
So
And
that's just
well, and I was going to say that another important thing that we sometimes kind of forget is childcare of working
Mm-hmm.
families. And so, as the vice chair of the NECC Policy Council, we created processes for parents to get their children into the to our programs. Um, Also, working with local daycares, because when I got on the policy council about 5 6 years ago, there was a fear that I'll just be straightforward. The Buffetts was coming in and taking over childcare and taking businesses from local daycares. And
uh,
there was some businesses that
there was
felt
a
the
lot of them
effect.
that, yeah, they have to shut down because of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
But I think, and what I did was is I questioned my fellow policy council members about, was we doing a service to the community by
Hmm.
putting these facilities here. And you got to keep in mind,
Hmm.
there is, yes, that's right, business needs our support more than anything. And so this is what I was getting to. Um, the daycares, what was happening was is a lot of daycares wasn't going through the certifications like they were supposed to through Head Start.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
a lot of the funding that Head Start get is centered around this program called CHIP, which is the Child Health Initiative Program.
Right.
It's a grant that was established, and this may sound from to a shock, but the Black Panther Party is the ones that started the WIC program, the after
Mhm.
school programs, and a lot of the pantry type of philosophy. And so a lot of the, the government kind of took those philosophies, not kind of, but took
Yeah.
those philosophies and implemented it into a lot of the things that we see today.
Yeah.
Um,
Those of us in the know that.
Yeah, yeah. So and being knowledgeable about those things, you start to wonder and ask questions that are centered around the very core principles of providing, shelter, housing, food, safety, and did we meet those needs? And um, the policy council came up with an idea called All My Kin,
Mhm.
which is empowers local daycares to become early learning centers. They also pay for a lot of the credentialing by giving up to about $600 after you complete the 10-week course. And then there's also a program that you can get paid in addition to your the money that you get from your learning center of about 42 to $43,000, that works in conjunction with for your business. I pass along a lot of this information on my personal page, and I will do that also on my campaign page because, like you said, knowledge is key. If you
Yes, it
don't
Mhm.
if you don't know about these things, then you may it may pass on, or you may just don't even think about it. So just bringing all of those things to the forefront is important. And as a community outreach worker, my job was to get resources to the people. And so I think as a city councilman, I would bring that type of skill set to make sure that everyone is getting the information correctly as possible so that they could benefit not only themselves but the community.
Okay. Now, as our time is starting to wind down, I just want to know what would you say sets you apart or put you ahead of your not necessarily competitors, but your
Hmm.
opponent, those also running for district two.
Yeah,
yeah.
so what sets me apart is my experience and my background. I'm very knowledgeable about the processes where I can get into office and instantly start making change effectively. Understanding the core issues within our community, which are usually centered around infrastructure, um, getting individuals back into the workforce appropriately,
Mhm.
addressing a lot of the gang violence that's going on within the community. And then there's also property issues. We talk about all the time where our property value seems to be lower than other communities. And uh, what I would like to do is try to get the homes that need to be restored or demolished, get those addressed. And so
Hmm.
a lot of the things I would address immediately falls into my experience and background.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to say good luck with your campaign. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. I would just like to say that I always love to see when people running for something, especially when it's local. When it's local, it just means much more to us than the White House. Because we really want people really speaking for us, and their voices eventually get heard by higher up. It just goes up the ladder. But I
Mhm.
like to see how invested that you are in the community. I mean, just looking at your background, you didn't been involved in a lot of different services, from public housing to commissioner, also the Santa Francis House, working with
Mhm.
children,
Mhm.
basketball coach for children. You have a very nice background as far as giving back to the community. So I like to see that. So I do wish you
Yeah.
good luck on your campaign. And also, do you have anybody backing you, in support of you yet, or for your
Your
campaign
funding or yeah.
funding, or yeah?
Right now, I want to I want to do my campaign. I would say the old-fashioned way, but I want to get a lot of my funding from directly from the people.
Okay,
I don't have any backing right now at this
okay,
moment. I just announced just recently, but I also want to say this real quickly that as far as the new developments in regards to South Terrace and Spencer projects,
Mhm.
those developments will have business opportunities, small business opportunities for the residents. And remember, the residents that are displaced will have first choice when the new developments take place. That's important
Oh,
because there was a fear of gentrification that was going to be
yes.
introduced into this community, and I wanted the residents' voice to be the steering mechanism used to get these developments off the ground. And so that's why I had the residents be part of the strategic planning, which is unheard of. Also, I released before I left office about 3,000 housing vouchers, and that's where the lottery system and so forth. Because I wanted to make sure that individuals were going to be able to come back in and also give the opportunity for home ownership. So I'm the reason why to say I said that to say this because I really love this district. I'm from this district, and I will always uphold and do the best that I can for this district. So,
Okay.
just wanted to say that.
Now, do you have a GoFundMe or a Cash App that those who want to donate to your campaign that they can do so?
At this moment, Carmel, I do not. I just was setting up my page. I'm new to this. I'm actually starting this myself. I mean, I'm doing this just myself. I'm going out to the community myself. So right now I'm trying to get things situated. I mean, people have approached me to be on the team, but I'm just kind of want to formulate my thoughts and get everything situated appropriately. So, um,
well, you can
no,
always reach
Okay.
back out to us whenever you get like your funding started, or whether it's cash out specifically for your campaign or GoFundMe. Just let me know and I can pin it to the video so people
okay,
can donate. People who every time they come across the video, they'll see the link to the GoFundMe.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
All right. Well, any last words, Carmel Diva? We about at hour. We literally right at the hour.
Well, we're doing good tonight.
I know. We was live for
No.
6 hours last night, child.
Oh, girl, See,
Didn't
that's
nobody
why I
want to
went
get
ahead
off the
and
show.
played. That's why I played Hunter Killer with my kids.
And nobody, I kept saying, I got to end the show now. No, no, not yet. But okay. So we did
Yes,
good tonight. I love your answers to our questions. You very,
Yes,
you're like
articulate
an
and
open book.
knowledgeable.
Yeah, very knowledgeable, an open book, very dedicated to your community from what I can say, what I can see, invested in your community. So again, thank you for coming on to our show. It was a pleasure to interview you today, and
Yes,
good luck on your campaign.
yes. Thank you, and I would like to kind of close out. If you go to at Stephen.Abraham.District 2, that will lead you
Hold on,
to
let
my
me type
face.
it in.
Oh, okay.
Stephen dot Abraham dot
Dot
this.
District 2.
Okay,
And that just takes you to my Facebook page. Is I think the at symbol is in front of that, and
okay,
um,
really, I'm starting this off on a more of a grassroots type of approach. I want to address a lot of the infrastructure issues. I'm very knowledgeable about the sewer separation project that
oh,
provides.
that's something we really need to talk to people about, but we haven't been. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yep.
and so there's a quite a few things that I'm very knowledgeable about, and understanding how community block grants, school bonds, and project-based vouchers all work in conjunction to make a community thrive. That's where you see the big schools out in West Omaha. They're using a conjunction of those funds to really improve their communities. And so I think just being knowledgeable about those things and how the processes go, I think that's what I could bring to the table as well. Immediately trying to address some issues within the community. So um,
Okay.
just, but I know we're at the hour mark, and I didn't want to, you know.
Oh no, you fine. We try to keep the interviews to an hour, but hey,
Oh,
if
okay.
you still
If you have
if there's
more to
still
discuss, then we're
right,
listening.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just touch bases on the sewer separation project,
okay,
and
Yeah.
go
then
ahead.
so the sewer separation project is something that was designed by MUD, and worked in conjunction with the city. And
Uh-huh.
what that allows is to address a lot of the old infrastructure that's in the ground. These SIDs, which is basically talking about infrastructure beneath our feet. A lot of it here in North Omaha is deteriorating, and a
Hmm.
lot of these new buildings or buildups, they have to have newer infrastructure in the ground in order to function correctly. So I just question, hey, if new buildings or new businesses get this type of funding, why can't homes that been here for 100 years get the same type or get it
Right.
available to them? And
Right.
so the sewer separation project, yes, there was an increase to individuals' bills, if you want to say.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but they're slowly addressing a lot of the infrastructure. They're going into the communities. They're digging in the ground as an inconvenience, but at least we're having some more infrastructure put in, replacing a lot of it that was put in place by our ancestors. And
Yeah, because what a lot of people don't understand is in North Omaha, most of our sewers they are the original when they
yep,
first built the city and put the
Right.
sewers in. We
yeah,
still have the original piping in the
hmm,
ground.
yes,
And
True.
I don't think a lot of people understand that. It's like, no, this is the stuff they put in like 1890. So we
yeah,
definitely need, I mean, well, damn, it's past time for an upgrade.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you got to have an advocate. You got to, so in order, my mom always said a closed mouth don't get fed, right?
Hmm.
And so if you don't know a lot of these things and you're not talking about these things or discussing it, then it never gets addressed. So my mom always told me that if you don't know something, keep your mouth shut and listen, and because eventually you're going to find out and gain that knowledge. And so that when you speak, it is appropriate, it's effective, and it either sparks the mind of the individual to become successful at whatever they're going to do, or it gives you an idea. It kind of sparks something within yourself to be like, to keep that conversation going so that you can be more informative when it comes to issues. And so the sewer separation project is really going to be helpful for North Omaha. OPPD, they ran in conjunction of the projects to implement LED lighting, which a lot of the things that we see, these are all under, when it comes to work in a district, the city councilman is like an oversight or quality assurance to make sure the jobs are getting done correctly. And I believe just being knowledgeable about North Omaha, going to different areas. Like recently, there was a hole in the ground by Tommy Rose Garden, the
Oh
old
wow.
Yale apartments that
Hmm.
by
Hmm.
that
Say
building
by
that
the
got
old
torn.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by
Um,
Ben Reed, yours, mine, and ours.
Yeah, I was gonna say about a bookie joint, but I,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want
The
to,
jitney stand, the jitney stand.
the yeah, I should say the jitney stand.
Yeah, that's what it's
Um,
called.
yeah, I didn't, but but with that being said, I question. I was like, little kids is outside playing. Like, when is this hole going to be filled up? It just
Right.
takes a simple call to the public works department or city works department, kind of ask those questions. And if I see something that's in the community that I don't like or I don't agree with, I try to communicate with whatever entity can address it. You know,
Mhm.
and that that's just being mindful about your district or your community. You know, um, like I said, I was born and raised in North Omaha. I live here. I'm vested in here. I bought my house and moved my entire family here to North Omaha. I got 8 children, um, in
Wow,
ages.
you've
Oh, you
been
got a
busy.
handful, boy.
Yeah,
I know you be
No more
busy.
you have a baseball team.
I got a little team there, Carmel, Tanya. Yeah, I do. I have 8 children. My oldest is 23, and my youngest is 1 years old.
Oh,
Wow.
you got a baby.
Ooh, I
And
can't
Oh,
do it.
somebody said, somebody got a question for you.
okay,
Okay. 402 Revenue said, do you support Chris Rogers?
402 revenue. Um, that's a good question. 402 revenue. Do I support Chris Rogers? Chris Rogers currently holds the position as Douglas County Commissioner, and in regards to the what he is the oversight of, um, you know, is like anybody when they get into a position and they have a daunting task in front of them, there may be things that they can miss. You know, I'll correlate that with sports. I played football, and sometimes when you got that helmet on, you can't see everything in your provisional. Your vision's kind of like this, and so sometimes just knowing the plays, being knowledgeable about certain things, helped improve that vision. Um, Chris Rogers, I've spoken with him before, but I can't really say that I either support or I'm for or against, because I really, in regards to knowing exactly what he has done, I would have to research that. So I'll just leave that answer as that. I really can't say either.
That's cool.
Oh,
That's a good
I
answer.
mean,
That's
yeah,
that's
just
the best answer you
well,
can get. I'm
yeah,
like,
just being honest, because if I knew
right.
who he was and how he handles himself, and if he was doing, then I would give my opinion. But that's what I
Yeah.
can say right now.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that we talk about a lot on here. Carmel D will say, if you don't know anything about certain people in certain positions in the city or whatever, do your research, look into it. And that's
Mhm.
why I like having you guys on here. When people come to me or when I see somebody running for something in Omaha, I try to reach out and get them on the platform, because I was talking to you earlier, Stephen. I was like, a lot of people, they might know, they might hear the name, but they really don't know you, not just you, but what I mean, people who are running for
Your
city
record and
offices. They don't know your rest. They don't know your history. They don't know your background. They see your name, and it's like when we get to those polls, it's like, okay, I
well,
heard this
I've
name
seen a
before.
flyer and I've seen, yeah.
Right. It's one thing to see the flyer everywhere, but it's another thing to see you out there actually involved and, people learning about you. So that's why I appreciate you coming on here and being open with us and giving us history on your background and your family as well. So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
and also I was going to mention this is that you know um, a lot of the times I speak for the people that voice is seldom heard.
Mhm.
As being a healthcare advocate, you'll have individuals that really don't leave their home. This was before the COVID-19, so
Mhm.
this is way before that. There's people that don't leave their neighborhood. So, being a community health outreach worker, I would go into those communities, I would go into those homes, and I would talk to individuals. I would sit down, have those conversations, and they would tell me the likes and dislikes about the community, what they felt would be important, and I would bring that back to my employer, tell them, hey, listen, transportation is a barrier. Moby doesn't come on time. This is one of the reasons why they're late for their appointments. Or so don't penalize individuals if they're late for appointments. Simple things like that, gestures, individuals seeing that substance, if you want to say, um, they feel better about themselves, you, and the community. And I would just, another thing I would like to say is when it comes to the school system, right now, currently, we have the 3-2 model where
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, we done had conversations about that.
She, I think
yeah.
everybody know how I feel about that one there.
Well, and Carmel, I just told you how many children I have, so
Well, see,
I
I have a high school senior and I have a fourth grader,
okay.
and I chose to keep both of my children as remote, especially because of my background in healthcare. Um,
Hmm.
and then with me having health issues, I could not take that risk of my children being exposed and then bringing it back home. And I think
Hmm.
right now it's dangerous, and I think they are. To me, I think they're endangering our children, especially at this time of year, having them in school when it's already cold,
Hmm.
flu,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
allergy, mono, strep season, and then you add COVID on top of that. Um, and then you're inside of a building with recycled air, and a lot of people know that heat is what makes these germs grow and spread.
Yeah.
And kids are not the most sanitary. I don't care how old they are, they're not the most sanitary people. And even with this 3-2 model, the teacher is constantly being exposed. And then
Hmm.
they take that back home. The staff is constantly being exposed. And what if on Monday you got a kid that has COVID, but now all week you've seen every kid. So now you have all these other kids that are being exposed too. I just think
Yeah.
it's dangerous for them to be doing this with our kids. And I think we need to, I know it's not a viable um, resolution for everybody to have their
Yeah.
child remote.
Hmm.
Um, but, I, and I know it's an unprecedented time, and no solution is going to work for everybody. But I think
Right.
being 100% remote would be healthier. And to be honest, I think the kids did better at the beginning of the year when everybody was remote because they had one dedicated teacher versus um, the teacher just kind of taking attendance in the morning. I say for like the elementary kids, they take the attendance in the morning for
Yep.
30 minutes, and then the kids are on their own for learning.
Yep. Now, I would like to say this. We already know about the issues that District 2 has when it comes to an attendance of our children attending school. We know about the poverty and so forth. I did a little bit of research, and the poverty rate for Omaha public school students is around like 20 something percent, where other districts around our school district are sitting at anywhere between 1.3 and 3%.
Oh, big
And
difference.
so
Yeah.
we have a few things that work in conjunction that need to get addressed in order to address the issues with our education system. Housing, the family household. If you have issues with your evictions, if you have issues with providing shelter or food for your family, then most likely that student is not going to be in attendance or going to be tardy or have some sort of issues when it comes to their education. Now, given this unprecedented time about coronavirus or COVID, um, that put it exposed a lot of the things that we're talking about, because in that 3-2 model, if you were to look at the rate of those individuals that are attending those classes, you're
Mhm.
going to see a very high rate of those students not attending classes. Maybe because they don't have Wi-Fi, which the answer to that is that the tablets are used on a cellular data.
Right.
But
Hmm.
in some areas, in North Omaha, cellular data, even with your cell phone, is very
It's
sparse.
Right.
very slow. Yes.
Yeah. So you
I
may
hear
have
parents
the
talk about that all the time. Their students freezing, their computers freezing, slow, behind. Yeah.
And see, it's crazy because I pay for Wi-Fi, and my kids don't even use the district's Wi-Fi, and they still have interruptions
hmm
Mhm.
because, like you said, the internet connections around here are spotty in areas.
Yep.
Mhm.
So it's crazy.
So I would advocate. I mean, I've already did this before. I've worked with local companies to put Wi-Fi towers on the towers, of Omaha Housing Authority,
Mhm.
um, and that's to try to help the main idea was to try to help the residents, because we had a contract agreement to provide a certain amount of free things for the residents if they lived in towers, like basic cable, and we'll try to
Wi-Fi.
add the Wi-Fi into there. Um, and so that was the first thought. And the second thought is to try to improve data, uh, infrastructure in the community. So I'm a big advocate as far as that. In regard, just to kind of go back to the school thing. I kind of voiced my opinion about how I think the school should be formatted, which I said, pre-K to seventh grade. I felt that they could go back to school. Now, hear me out. I know Carmel, I know, and Tanya, y'all looking at me like, well, wait a minute.
I
They.
was I was reading a comment too.
Wow.
Yes. And I work for the CLC program, Brandon, Mass. When I worked for Saratoga Elementary, I worked for the Community Learning Center, or CLC program, which is an after-school component that it was,
Hmm.
Dr. Shriver with the state of Nebraska, University of Nebraska. He was the oversight for those programs, and I'm pretty sure it's similar to what you're talking about. Yeah. Uh, I came with an idea that would have pre-K to the seventh grade going back into the schools. They would be spread it out throughout the district going into the elementary, junior high, and high schools, and then have the high schoolers do virtual learning. Now, what that does is it creates a better social distancing. It gets the Omaha Public
Yeah, because
School
the little
workers.
kids, it's hard to social distance little kids. Yeah.
But if you have enough space, so say that you spread pre-K to seventh grade throughout the district in these
Right.
junior high, middle school, and high school,
I
now
see
you
what you're
can
saying.
kind of practice a better social distancing, and you can have those kids go 5 days a week and help parents, because childcare is becoming a additional burden during these times.
That's a good
Um,
idea.
now,
Have the older kids at home
and the
and
older
spread
kids,
out the younger kids.
yes, and the older kids are at home because they're more responsible to take care of themselves. I
Right.
know eighth grade, the ninth, the 12th grade, you should be able to, make yourself a sandwich,
Some
um,
ramen noodles or something.
Roman noodles, and I'm just saying this because OPS is faced with a daunting task in trying to get people. They don't want to have a massive amount of individuals going into the unemployment uh,
Unemployment. Yep.
And so I understand their reasoning about the 3-2 model. And do I feel that it could be better improvements on it? Yes. And that's what I just laid out. But as a city councilman, you would go and advocate for things in your district, you know, where you're just like, hey, listen, you know, do you think that this could work? You know, working directly with the board members, Dr. Logan, working directly with them to address some of these issues. And right now they're doing the best that they can. So I don't want to not.
Right.
I'm just kind of giving
Right. And
uh,
I think they
an
are,
idea.
but your idea right there, I've never heard that mentioned at all. And I think that is a good idea. I do think that is a good idea. I think something has to be done because a lot of people can't afford uh daycare. They can't,
Mhm.
a lot of people weren't getting help before with daycare. So to have their kids in school all day long, that's like, oh my God, that's a blessing. The kids are finally old enough to be in school all day. So yeah,
Yeah.
we have
Now,
to do something.
now think about this. Now you have parents. Think about the single parent households. You
Yeah.
know, they having to figure out something. They
Hmm.
like, well, dang, I gotta stay here or I gotta pay for my job. Is I'm not getting a lot of pay in my job, and it's basically paying for childcare.
It's just paying for
Um,
childcare and that's it. Yeah.
you know, the subsidies that are used. Um, you know, title. You know, the title programs that are
Title
used.
20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Title 20.
yep. They're used to help families. I mean, yeah, but you're still having to pay a portion. I mean,
Right.
and
And the thing about it is Title 20 is kind of like Section 8 and food stamps. You got to be making like a minimal amount of
hmm
income.
Right.
So for these people who might have had jobs that it just kept them afloat, with
yep,
their bills, and now they have to pay all of their daycare that they don't get help with because their kid can't be in school every day. It's really a pain. I know people. I have a friend who, every day, like when her kid's not in the 3-2 or on the off days, she's calling around. Can you keep them today? Can you keep them today? Because she can't
yeah,
afford to pay daycare.
yeah,
So and that hurts. It's like either she quits her job, she cut back her hours, or sometimes you like, okay, you only got so many people you can trust with your kids
I,
all day long.
Right.
yeah. And the learning centers they work in conjunction with Omaha Public Schools or the school districts, so they're going to a 3-2 model. And also they're closed currently. The daycares they have an influx of children. Now, do they have enough staff? We don't know. Do they have the right credentials? We don't know. Only
Right.
thing we know is that we have to work to support our household, and by any means necessary, I'm just using that word, I
Right.
have to do what it takes to provide food, shelter, and clothing for my loved ones. And that's where I kind of got on a lot of individuals talking about the unemployment benefits. Because if you have to make a sacrifice like that, you should have no problem getting unemployment benefits. And there should be an extra additional to that to supplement the income that you lost from the job that you had. And, you know,
Hmm.
there's emergency EBT benefits. I like to call them food stamps. I mean, I'm old school. I'm just
I
using
heard
the
they're
word.
Right.
giving out some next week. Is that right? Somebody told me
Yeah,
that they were going to
Yeah.
be giving out food stamps or EBT next week or something like that.
They ain't told me about it.
Well, I literally just heard about it today. Somebody said they're supposed to be giving out food stamps next week or something like that.
Mm.
So I don't know. I'll have to do some more checking, I suppose.
Yeah.
no, yeah. They're what they've done is that so a lot of the school meals, EBT or food stamps comes from the Department of Agriculture.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's given to the Department of Health and Human Service to distribute amongst the citizens of different variety of communities. And so you know, they're giving out food stamps to the parents that have children that receive free or reduced lunch.
Okay, that's what it must be then. Yeah. Okay.
So, so if your child receives free or reduced lunch, then you qualify automatically, not even based off your income, EBT or SNAP benefits, um, which is a good thing. Now, what I would say about that is,
Okay,
um,
son.
oh, what up, times? Oh, Jason. Hey, what up, Jason? What's going on? That's I've been knowing that gentleman right there for a very long time. He's a most definitely an advocate for the
Yes,
community,
he is. Hmm. Yeah.
returning citizen. A lot of the times, growing up in the community, we went with the crowd, and we now with our lives changed and going in better directions. It's just good to see individuals like that.
And that's a
But
lot of us. That's a lot of us.
yeah.
But
Um,
yeah.
but I know we've been on here. Like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time. Like I said, I'm very passionate about the things that happen within the community. I feel that as a city councilman, I could be an advocate to address things appropriately, given my background and the history experience. Also, my community connections. Individuals know my heart. They know my passion, and when it comes to certain issues, they're welcoming to hear what I have to say.
Mhm.
Um, there has been things in the community that I've taken part in that some individuals might have took the wrong way. But only thing I could say is that if you have offensive wording on a facade of a building, or anything that's derogatory towards the community. I don't think anyone in the community, especially individuals that lived through the civil rights movement, especially individuals
Mhm.
that have went through the racism and discrimination, the redlining, I don't think they deserve to have something on the building to remind them that there's an issue going on in the community. We know there's an
Yeah.
issue going on in the community.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Mhm.
we and as an advocate, being aware and knowledgeable about that is important because we don't put that in the face of those. We just make sure that we can give them something to address the issue. It's more of being meeting people where they at. That's the, the technique that we were taught in behavioral and social science. Meet people where they're at.
I
Yeah.
Stop.
agree.
You know, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that there.
I absolutely agree. I agree. And thank you again so much. Carmel Diva, this was fun.
Yeah. You know what, I
I
just
enjoyed
want to
the
say
conversation.
I love all of the representation, especially from black males out there running to make their city better, their district better. I appreciate you all, and I thank you all for being that positive role model and showing, especially our younger black males, that you can do what I'm doing. I'm
Mhm.
coming from where you came from, and you can do what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yes.
I appreciate you all. I wish you the best of luck in your campaign
Thank you.
and your future endeavors. Thank you for your involvement in the community.
Yep. Thank
Yes,
you. I
thank you.
appreciate
I
that.
appreciate it. And don't forget, make sure you inbox me because I tried to look up the your I know you're on Facebook's friends with you, but your actual page for your campaign. If you can send me that, and also when
Okay.
if you do get a GoFundMe, I know it can get pretty pricey trying to run campaigns. So we like to help out by posting your links and everything to the videos that we interview you with. So send if you
Okay.
can send me all the information whenever you get a chance. Okay.
Yeah, I sure will. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me at
You're
this
welcome.
on the hood table 402. I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Yes,
ladies.
402.
And you know, I'm a I still like I said, as far as my passion for the district, It's there. I'll let the people decide when it's time to vote. I just want to remind everyone that the primary is in April of 2021. The general election is in May of 2021.
All right.
Also, I also want to remind people that in District 2, we have 25 precincts that are centered around neighborhood associations. So,
Wow.
in those precincts, you have different backgrounds, different cultures.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to reach out to every one of those precincts, and just kind of, like I said, I'm gonna just let the people decide. You know,
Yeah.
and
And it's really important. It's really important. That's why I like how you guys are getting out here. I've seen so much participation in community events this past year. So again, like Carmel Steva said, it's nice to see our black men in our black community out there trying to represent us, because for so long we had like this older generation out there and they're getting, up in years, and it's time for them to sit back and chillax and, sit
Yes, we
down and
need some
enjoy
new
their
blood
families
in
and
there.
everything. Right. We need
yeah.
some
We
new
need
fresh
new blood
blood up
with
in
new
there.
ideas.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
new,
yeah.
brand new ideas. And so thank you again for joining us. And anytime you want to come on our show or you want to let us know about anything going on with your campaign or in the community, feel free to let me know. And you're in our The Hood Table group, so feel free to let me know or drop the links in our group, whenever.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. I really appreciate it, ladies. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
being here.
Yeah. And on that note, everybody who's watching, thanks to everybody in the chat participating, all the likes and all the love on the video. Don't forget, share, like, and subscribe to the Hood Table. And everybody enjoy your evening. Stay safe, be blessed. And I think Karma D will be saying something else.
Stay vigilant and keep it hood.
That's right. All
Yes.
right. Good
Thank you.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.